Hey, welcome back to a brand new video of depressed looking teenager gives you their point of view on a drama that probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but you still come to listen for some reason which I simply haven't figured out yet. Today I'm going to be discussing all of the recent Fundy allegations, as Fundy recently released a tweet longer where they detailed a bunch of the things they were called out for and how they were apologetic for them in a response that I think could only be considered lackluster and ingenuine. A lot of this response comes across like they don't actually care about what they're apologizing for, and that isn't me calling them out because I want them to be called out or harassed for this response, because to be honest, a lot of what they're apologizing for doesn't really seem like a large issue to me, and I feel like it's being blown way out of proportion by their audience that seems to want to hold them accountable to another degree that otherwise is almost unreasonable to anyone. So today we're just going to discuss this and why I feel like more creators like Rambo, Carl Jacobs, and Fundy bending the knee to their audience and doing everything their audience wants from them is only going to cause more problems for them in the future, because holy they have developed themselves so many problems with the ways they respond to their audience, with Carl Jacobs not even being allowed to be a fan of someone anymore without their audience's permission first, because they were called out for supporting Ice Poseidon, and then they decided to denounce Ice Poseidon instead of saying, I can support whoever I want, it's not your place to determine who I can support, and leave me the fuck alone. Instead, people like Carl Jacobs and Rambo, who unfollowed Call Me Carson following the allegations because their fans kept asking them to, those people are only making it harder for themselves to ever get out of a huge mistake they actually have made. Today, we're going to look over what Fundy's done, because I don't feel like it's a serious issue and I don't feel like it should have been made into a problem, but Fundy made it into a problem by responding to it. So, before I begin, hi, my name is HarleyTBS, I make videos every single day, and I give the cold, hard truth on many different situations. Unlike any tea channel that you'd see where they talk about things that don't matter, I talk about issues that I think actually have actual lessons to be learned from them, which is why I dubbed myself a coffee channel. If you'd like to join the coffee community, you can become a channel member and you'll get one of 3 icons on the left. Any donations are appreciated, and you can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to support me further. With that being said, let's get right into it. Fundy's apology starts by saying, before I say anything, I just want to make one thing clear. I've hurt people with obscure stupid jokes that I've done in the past, and I've let some things happen that I now regretted, but please believe me if I say that I never mean and never meant any harm to any community whatsoever. I started YouTube and Twitch with the mindset of reaching as many people as possible and making them smile, trying to give them some kind of happiness that they can take and share throughout their day. I love every single one of you, and I have the utmost respect for those who educate me every time I'm unaware of an action I've taken. And this intro isn't very offensive, but obviously it does come across immediately like he's just trying to apologize, but he's very vague on what he's done, saying that it was obscure stupid jokes and things that have happened. This is a very vague way of addressing it, which minimizes the problem that he may have made, and instead makes it so as little people that are viewing this apology as possible know what he's actually done, and as such is less likely that they're going to be trying to call him out for it. Fundy then continues, starting from old to new. Jackbox. I have made some harmful jokes on a game called Jackbox. This is a game where certain game modes you're meant to be as offensive as possible, but I definitely took this way too far. I since then have apologized in a stream for my actions, and I never meant to hurt anyone with what I said. I'm extremely sorry to the people I helped with this and everyone else as well. 1. If you've already apologized for this in the past, I see no reason for you to regurgitate the same apology again, but shorter and less genuine in a twit longer post. It just seems like a waste of your time and a waste of everyone else's time to read, and pointless, making it seem like you are more apologetic than you actually are. Secondly, if these were jokes that you made, why are you so desperate to immediately apologize to your audience? You're allowed to make offensive jokes or harmful jokes as long as you aren't actively targeting anyone or actively discriminating in any way. If these were jokes, like you say they were, I don't really see any issue for you to apologize. You should take the Fitz route where you say, I've said things that have offended people, and personally I don't really care. Because if it's your sense of humor, you shouldn't have to apologize for that. You should be yourself authentically on YouTube. You shouldn't be the most PR appropriate version of yourself for the sake of getting more viewers and subs. Because if your audience is to discover that you've done things that go against the PR appropriate version you've set yourself up to be, your audience will cannibalize you. And this next point I'll pass on to Joko Musical to cover.
Hello everyone. My name is Joko Musical, but you can call me Jumbo for short. I'm another person who's done commentary before, but I don't really do it anymore. My friend Harley asked me on my thoughts on these 2 things Fundy has done and apologized for. You're probably thinking, he apologized, why are you still gonna criticize him? Well, internet user person, it's because you can still criticize those who have done the wrong and still acknowledge that they've apologized. Just be sure to mention that they've apologized. Also, because not every apology is genuine nor sound genuine, but I tend to give benefits of the doubt. I may not know Fundy or about Fundy that much, but I can still give my thoughts. Alright, from what Harley has shown me, from this first screenshot it reads, I have read out loud some messages such as text-to-speech, donations, or just chat messages that contain some vocabulary that I should never have said. A recent example is on Nikki's stream when I was there. We read out a message that contained AAVE. We then referenced it to a TikTok as this was a quote from a TikTok we both have seen. This never was meant to be taken as, oh, it's TikTok language, and I am sorry for even allowing it to be seen as that. In the past, I have read out donation messages containing these words, and I never mean or meant any harm with it. There were attempts to find the context. I'm not aware where to exactly find those exact points because without the proper context, I can't know what was said and what harm it can do. Honestly, this part sounds too vague for anyone outside to fully understand what you are apologizing for. All I can say for this first one is, be more mindful with what you read or what you say. It's not completely your fault if it's your viewers donating those AAVE things, but you gotta try to do more research on what can be taken the wrong way. With the lack of context, I don't know if what happened was intentional or not, but from now on, be more careful, especially with a following. With a following, you can cause more harm by kids thinking it is okay to say certain things cause you said it. Now, for the second screenshot Harley gave me, it reads, during a recent MCC practice, I mentioned to Filza that I was making a game show and was making fun of the contestants. One of the things I said came along the lines of, if I show a gorilla and you make gorilla noises, that's racist. It took me a few days to realize what exactly had been said, and I never ever meant it to be associated with anything other than a gorilla. It didn't even cross my mind. Some people made assumptions, and while I see where it was coming from, it made me sick. My understanding originally of the word racist was, if you making fun of some species that isn't yours, it's racist. This in my mind applied to animals as well. The gorilla I was talking about was a giant bronze gorilla statue mentioned in the video, and it never had any other intention besides, oh, gorilla will get angry if you mimic his sounds. I am extremely sorry to anyone that got hurt by me saying this, but this was never my intention, and I never meant for it to be interpreted the way it was. Again, comes off as a bit vague. You do explain what happens, but would be better if you provided more context like a clip or something. Other than that, here's where things can have some problems. Using the words gorilla and racist in the same sentence. Usually when it comes to that, people can think that it's referring to us African Americans or black people. In the past, we were referred to as monkeys because of the color of our skin, which is derogatory and racist. The way you explain it here in the apology can make sense, but you really shouldn't know the term racist has to deal with race like black, white, Asian, etc. Human race and animal race are never the focus when it comes to racist, so it's hard to believe that you had a misunderstanding of how racist is used. Dark jokes here and there can be okay for some comedic effect, but just be careful how far you go with the dark jokes, especially when taken the worst way possible by online strangers. If I missed anything regarding these two screenshots, let me know. Maybe I could have interpreted something wrong, but I can't know that unless I hear other point of views. I'm ending my segment off with, I don't think he's racist, but ignorant at best and needs to learn more about what can come off wrong. From those two, it seems genuine, but at the same time, always stay skeptical. Not everything here is believable, so I'm not just gonna go, oh well, he didn't know, and brush it off as if it means nothing. I'm gonna hold him accountable for what he's done wrong and make sure that he actually improves himself. Hold people accountable, even if it may be genuine or not. Just don't harass them, gaslight them, or guilt trip them after. Thank you, Harley, for having me on, and I'll get back to doing my own shit in my corner.
Now let's talk about dead naming. Dead naming is defined by Oxford Languages as calling a transgender person by their birth name when they've changed their name as part of their gender transition. Now, let's read Fundy's post where they apologize for apparently dead naming themselves. Fundy's apology reads, before talking about this, I want to point out my character on the Dream SMP was never declared trans by me or any other members. There were some bits that caused some people to ask me if Fundy was canonically trans, and my response was that I'm fine with however you want to take it. I want everyone to feel comfortable with whatever choice they make. If you want to see my characters trans or anything else, I support that and am okay with it. During one of my law streams with Quackity, I had to write my full legal name in a book as a signature. During this, I thought it would be funny to add a bunch of random names into it, and thus made my legal name for a joke Fun, Jonathan, Michael, Vincent, Georgina, James, Sus, D, implying that there was a bunch of middle names in between Fun and D. I was unaware of what exactly a dead name was, but never meant for this to be seen anything other than a silly joke. I came up with some random names on the spot thinking it was funny, and never meant to harm anyone. I am someone who tries to respect as many people as possible, and learn about as many people as possible. A lot of people have since educated me about what a dead name is, and I fully understand where this was coming from, and am apologetic I have caused this. Now, Coming from a trans person, this seems like an incredibly stupid argument to make. Fundy's character was never canonically trans, and it's very clear from the fact that they put all these names in the middle of Fun and D that they were joking, because their real name obviously isn't Fundy. So the whole joke here was very clearly to anyone that was paying any attention that they were just joking about the fact that there are a bunch of different names in between their Minecraft name as a joke about it being their legal name being very long. This was clearly satire, and to anyone that was paying any attention, this was not discriminatory to anyone in the trans community, especially when not even referring to a canonically trans person, and that same person is Fundy, the content creator. How could they possibly discriminatorily dead name themselves in this context? It just seems incredibly stupid to apologize for this, and if anything, it seems insensitive to try and insinuate that this would be a transphobic thing. This wasn't insensitive to anyone paying any attention, and this wasn't discriminatory in any way. It seems impossibly ridiculous that anyone would even correlate being transgender and dead naming a transgender person to satirically putting multiple names in between their Minecraft username. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. I don't know why Fundy thought they would apologize for this without even actually properly educating themselves, and it seems almost laughable that they would say that they educated themselves on this or were educated on this when what they're apologizing for isn't even something they've done. It seems so ridiculous, and it's obvious that Fundy's young audience has misinterpreted the meaning of dead naming and have taken offense to something that is clearly inoffensive to anyone with any education on this topic. Fundy's apology continues. On the Fundy Discord, there has been a rule that stated that impersonating bots, content creators, brands, or other users, and abusing this for perms or status is not allowed. This has been for a very long time and is there to prevent people coming in and saying, "Hey guys, I'm Fundy, lost access to the Discord, please make me owner again," or anything along those lines. This was recently updated to a very disturbing rule that I wasn't even aware of and went behind my back. While I myself am rarely active on the Discord, it is common for things to go without my final say, but this was something that never should have happened. The mod that condoned this rule has been stripped from its status and removed from the mod team. The Discord is being moderated without my supervision, and I will try my best to make sure this never happens again. This is something that Fundy straight up shouldn't have apologized for. Fundy is not the staff that runs the server, Fundy is not involved in the moderation of the server, and they've said so themselves. Why are they apologizing for something that went under their nose, they weren't aware of, and weren't involved in to any extent? This isn't their problem to apologize for, and they should name and shame the person that did this, not taking the brunt of the blame for themselves. It seems ridiculous that they would try and hold themselves accountable for something they weren't involved in, and trying to make it seem like they should ever have to make sure this doesn't happen again, because obviously they aren't going to be involved in the punishment of staff members or anything like that, as quite obviously as a big content creator they don't have time to involve themselves in their server. This mocks the very concept of this apology because they're apologizing for something they weren't involved in. It's ridiculous. Fundy's apology ends by saying, "I am a person that wants to see people smile, a person that can sometimes try way too hard to make a joke, and really punish myself if a stream or video doesn't go up to my expectations. I don't care about anything other than making people happy with my presence, so this topic actually is really tough for me to write. I once again want to say sorry to every single one of you, even if you aren't directly affected, or even if you weren't aware of my actions. I never meant for a single person to be harmed. I love you guys, and I'm really sorry for what has happened in the past. I try my best to do better, and really respect those who help educate me. And now I will take a tiny break because I think it's the best thing to do. Once again, I love you guys, and obviously Fundy isn't actually taking a break for any reason at all. A lot of content creators try to make it seem like they're taking a break to educate themselves or get help with this situation, but most of the time it's just because they don't want to deal with the backlash and want to return back when people are less skeptical of them. It's always an excuse used by multiple content creators because what is there for Fundy to learn here other than not to correlate gorillas and race, and also not to use AAVE if they're using offensive AAVE or words that should only be used by people of color. It seems ridiculous that they made this apology in the first place, and most of the points here shouldn't have been mentioned at all, or should have been given way more context to them so that they made actual sense given the pretext that Fundy is apologizing for them and trying to explain to their audience how apologetic they are of them. Anyone that wasn't already in the know about what Fundy's done isn't going to be in the know because of this, and it's clear to most people that Fundy isn't actually holding themselves accountable here, but making a PR apology for the sake of saving face. And while I think that there are things to actually apologize for buried within this tweet longer, the whole consensus of this tweet longer is undermined by the apologies for the Discord and the unintentional dead naming that they didn't even do. With that being said though, I'm gonna end this video here. Thanks for watching. I do genuinely appreciate you giving me your time so that you can listen to my criticism for Fundy and my thoughts on this whole situation. Personally, I feel like this apology was lackluster and a waste of time, and I feel like Fundy shouldn't have made it given the fact that they're apologizing for so many things that they mainly didn't even do, weren't involved in, or were completely misconstrued by their audience, and claiming that they've been educated when they clearly haven't, as they've misinterpreted the whole issue here. With that being said, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to subscribe to help me get to 50k by the end of the year, that'd be highly appreciated. You can also check out my other social media down below, and if you'd like like to support me financially through Patreon, Ko-fi, or the join button to become a channel member and get one of these nice coffee icons, that'd be highly appreciated. Thank you to my channel members, including Alec, Musters Things, Your Mother's Chest Hair, and Mr. Skullface Garcia. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Says she wanna rock with it like me. I'm a stylish guy. Spend a little guap with it like me. We can catch a fly. Says she wanna rock with it like me.